Hello guys, welcome to the second part of this video tutorial that shows how to use Java Servlet to upload and download files from a web server. In the first part we saw how to create and configure two servlets, one for download and the other one for upload. In this part we will add to the previous project a Java filter for the user authentication, so that user can access to the download and the upload features only after login. We will see also session management with the HTTP session object and cookies, and how a servlet can redirect a request using send direct or request dispatcher. Let's come back to our project with the download servlet and upload servlet, and with the JSP page for user input. Now we are going to create our filter. What is a filter? A filter is a Java object of filter class that can be mapped to a servlet or a JSP page to implement some operations of pre-processing or post-processing operations. For example, in our example, we want to use a filter to check if the user is just logged in the system or not. So it's a pre-processing operation. If the user is not logged in the system, the filter will redirect the HTTP request of the client to the login form. The advantage of filter is that it can be mapped to one or more servlet or JSP page in an easy way in the web.xml configuration file. So we can also create a chain of filters and apply more than one filter to a servlet or another resource, one after the other in a certain order. Now let's create our filter. New filter, the name of the class. Okay. Okay. We have here the web filter annotation for the mapping with a URL pattern, but we will use in this case the configuration in the web.xml file. So we comment this line. As you can see, filter structure is similar to that one of the servlet. It has a init method, a destroy method, and the doFilter method, that is the method where we include the Java code that we want to apply for the filter. In this method there is a main line, change dot do filter, that is the instruction that divide the pre-processing operation of the filter from the post-processing operations to be executed. In fact, all Java lines that are before this instruction are executed in pre-processing, so before the execution of the servlet or the other kind of resource that the client has requested with the HTTP request. All the operations that are after this line, so here, are executed after the execution of the servlet in post-processing. So if a servlet is at the end is executed, first of all, it will be executed all the lines before the change. Then this instruction will pass the control to the execution of the servlet or of a second the next filter in the chain. Then when the servlet is has been executed, um, it will be executed all the lines after this instruction. Okay, now we are going to configure the filter in the web.xml file. Okay, the filter configuration in the web.xml file is composed of two tags. That is the filter tag and the filter mapping tag. So the structure is similar to that one of the servlets, with the mapping between the internal name of the filter in the web container and the full part of the corresponding class. So we can call the filter login filter, and we have to copy the full path of the class. So we can copy here and paste dot the name of the class. Okay, the second tag is the mapping of the filter with the resource to which we want to apply the filter. That is the URL pattern that has been called one will be called to apply the filter. So filter mapping, filter name, it is the same name here defined, and URL pattern. Okay, in our case we want to apply the filter when the client application sends HTTP request to the input form JSP. So main input form dot JSP. Okay, so we have the mapping between the internal name of the filter and the class, and the mapping with the resource to which we want to apply the filter. Now let's add the Java code to the doFilter method. As we said, we have to put all the lines before the chain.doFilter instruction, because we want to implement a pre-processing operation. So we can copy and paste the code to be fast here from a file that I prepared before, and import all the libraries. Okay, let's see what this method do. First of all, he use the request object of the do filter to get the session object. The session object is an object that manages all information about the user session, one user session. So it has the history of the session, can store the history of the session. We first of all we cast the generic servlet request to a HTTP servlet request, and the same for the response. Then we get the HTTP session. So we now the do filter check if the session is null or is new. If it's not null and it's not new, that is that the user has just been logged in the system, it passes the control to the resource that we called, that the client application called with the HTTP request. So to the input form JSP, in this case, that is the resource mapped with this filter. If otherwise, if the user is not logged in the system, the filter will redirect the HTTP request to the login form, a form that we are going to create soon now. Okay, we can comment or delete this line. It is the default line. Okay, this is our do filter method. Now let's create a login page with this name. Copy. So in the web content, new JSP file. Okay. Login page. The form. The action will be a call to a login servlet that we are going to create to manage the user authentication. So we can use a built-in JSP object, is a request, to get dynamically the context path of the servlet. So angle bracket %, okay, and equal. This is a JSP expression. So request dot get context path, okay, and then the name of the class that we are going to create, login servlet, or better, the mapping of the class with the URL pattern that we will use. Okay, now the method, we will use now in this case post, because we are sending to the server sensitive data that are username and password. So with post they won't be visible in the URL string as with method get method. So username, input or type text, username, password. The type is password, and call password. So the input type will submit, value level, login. Okay, let's create it here. Okay. Now we can create the login servlet that will manage the user authentication. So new login servlet, login servlet. We need the do post. Okay. Now we will use for this demo a demo account with a username and password that are stored here in this class in a simplified way. So we have private, okay, we can set this to some values, admin, for example, and password. So this servlet will check if the username and the password that the user will insert into the form will match these two values. Now we have to write the Java code of the do post. To not waste time, we can copy and paste here from another file that I prepared before. So let's import all the libraries. Okay, let's see what this code does. So with these two lines, it read the username and password parameters inserted by the user. In fact, username and password are the name of the two inputs here, username and password. Then it checks if the username and password matched with the two username and password that we defined here, declared here. If so, the do post method get the user session, and with the two parameter, if the session doesn't exist, that is this case, it will be created. So this is in this case a new session, user session. Then the username inserted by the user is stored in a session attribute with this instruction, with this line. Then it set the max inactive interval of the session in seconds, so 30 for 60 or half an hour. So after half an hour without activity, the session will die. So the same username will be stored in a cookie with a max age that is the same of the inactive interval of the session. So the cookie is added to the response object. Finally, with this instruction with the request dispatcher, the servlet will redirect the HTTP request to the main input form, that is the form to manage the upload and download features. As you can see, this type of here we are using this kind of redirection that is different from the send direct redirection, because in the first case, send direct, it's sent to the client application and automatically uh, come back as a new HTTP request to the server. In this case, instead, the servlet call directly this resource that is JSP, without passing through the client application. Okay. Uh, Finally, if the username or password are not that one that to set here, there is an error message on the web page. Finally, now that we are managing the session, we can come back to the input form and add a welcome message to the user. So here, after the title, we can write sample welcome, and here we will insert the name of the user. To do so, we can use built-in object of the GSP page, that is the session object. So this is an JSP expression closed between angle percent bracket and equal, then session get attribute username, that is the attribute that we set before before, as we saw. Okay. Okay, it's all ready to run our application with the login filter. So in this case we want to use the Firefox external browser, and we can run on server input form. Okay, the filter checked that the user was not just logged in the application, and has made a redirection to the login page. We can we are here just write admin and password. That was the two values stored as a private string in the login server class, and login. Oh, that's a mistake. Okay, let's input again. Okay, we can see that we have the same form page of download and upload. Now there is the welcome admin, so with the name of the user logged in. Now we can try to download the file. Let's see the name of a file that is in the doc folder, for example JSF tutorial.pdf, and download. Okay, so we have downloaded this file with the prefix downloaded that we set in the as an attribute of the filter in the web.xml file as a init parameter. Now we can try again. As you can see, the filter checked that the user session was not null and not new, so it redirects directly to the page requested by the web client application. We can use this software filter to see the content of the HTTP request. In this case is this one, and you can see in the header the definition of the cookie with username and admin cookie, that is a couple of string user name and value, and second cookie is the JSession ID that is managed by the session object. Okay, we can also see here the cookies in Firefox options, and here is remove single cookies, where we can find all the cookies. So we have to go localhost. Here we can see the two cookies, jsession and username. We can see where Firefox physically store the cookies. It is in a folder. In this case is the full path is this one, where this is the users folder, but this is my folder, my account on Windows 10. App data, roaming, Mozilla, Firefox, profiles, and this folder. And the database is cookies. That is a SQLite database that we can open with the DB browser for SQLite. And here there is the modded cookies table, browse table, and okay, here each row of this table is a cookie with the name and value and other attributes. So we can looking for our cookie. Here our domain is localhost, so we have name, username, and value admin, and you can see that there is the expire time. In fact, this is a permanent cookie, so it has been stored in this database, as you can see. In fact, localhost is will die at the end of the session. Okay, that's all. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.